Hey, welcome back to another episode of the Scullabutt podcast. I feel like we've been gone for like a month. We took a couple of weeks off for the holidays. We're back at it full swing. Before we get started, I just want to thank our Patreon members. Wasn't for you guys, we wouldn't be able to grow and do what we do here. Also, the nonprofit is coming along. I have secured the Detroit Lions tickets, 2 club seats, includes parking. So if you're in the Detroit area and you're a veteran or first responder and you'd like to go to a game, go ahead and put your name in the hat. We would love to hook you up. And there's going to be other tickets too if you're in the Nashville area. So right now we're focused on Detroit, my hometown, and Nashville, where I live now, and Combat Chaps lives now. So we will be taking veterans and first responders to probably a lot of hockey games coming up. And we're not just going to send you by yourself. Either myself or Andrew will be going with you, so we can talk and just hang out and make sure everything's copacetic, all on even keel.
Copacetic, Navy. Copacetic.
That's right. So our goal is to save lives. So, the number for the last few years is 22 veterans a day committed suicide, but turns out there's new numbers out, and it's actually 44 veterans committing suicide, and we're here to try to stop that.
We are one episode at a time.
Yes, sir. So with that said, January 2023, we're back at it for a new year, and
Happy New Year.
We have a new sponsor.
We do. We have to
Connor,
mention his name. We have to.
Connor Insurance Group. If you're looking for auto insurance, homeowners insurance, life insurance, he's also doing like horse insurance, equine
insurance. Yeah, something like that.
He's doing all kinds of stuff.
I've never heard of that before.
I have not either, but he just started his own company. He's been an insurance agent for years, and he said, heck with this, I'm going to start my own company. He's also a combat veteran. His links will be in the show description if you're looking for insurance. And he's not just in Tennessee. He's all over the place. He's in like 10 or 12 different states.
He's got
all over the place.
Certificates all over the place.
And before he was even our show sponsor, I don't know if Andrew does, but I use him for my car insurance. I use him for my homeowner's insurance.
I don't, unfortunately.
Well,
I wish I did.
Yeah.
But I will. I'm going to change over to him as soon as we're done with this episode.
He's a good guy. He's here in Middle Tennessee also, but like I said, he's all over the place. So today we are with Navy SEAL Andrew Paul, who Combat Chaps. You guys went to school together?
We did. We went to high school together. I've known Andrew for, a long time. And I'm just really happy that he's here. I'm honored and humbled that he would actually say yes to our show. Hopefully fix that glitchiness, because I took off my background and is it working okay, Andrew?
Yeah, you're looking good. Camera's looking good. Yeah.
Yeah, this is my real house. Okay, that thing you saw before, totally fake. Totally fake. But no, Andrew he's a good man, a good family man. And I'm just honored to know him as a friend and a fellow veteran and a fellow VFW member. So
yes. And by the way, you're our first Navy SEAL on the show.
You are our first Navy SEAL.
Well, I'm glad to be. When you go first, it sets a
pace,
high standard, or maybe I'm just making it easy for the next guys to follow. Who knows?
Yes. So since you guys went to high school together, was that in Savannah area? I don't know. Chaps around all over
Massachusetts, baby.
Massachusetts, all right.
tiny little boarding school in North Andover, Massachusetts.
So before I'm going to hop around a little bit. Did you guys run into each other in Iraq? Did you ever see each other?
I never saw Andrew specifically, and in fact, it wasn't until several years later we were reconnecting, and you just start to connect the dots, and we realized that not only did I figure, oh man, Andrew had gone in the Marine Corps, which I didn't know after high school. Andrew, I think we were a year apart, right? I think I might have been 1 year older than you or 1 year younger than you. I can't remember.
You were 98, right?
97.
97. Yeah, we're 1 year apart. Yep.
Yeah. So
good class too.
Kind of lose touch a little bit, and so I didn't realize that Andrew had gone into the Marine Corps, and it's like, oh, I went in the Marine Corps, like, what was it like? What'd you do? And then come to find out, he served in the same place at the same time in Ramadi, Iraq in 2006, which was my last deployment before I left active duty. And that was a pretty crazy deployment. And so to find out that some guy that you grew up with, you went to high school with, ended up being there and was basically right across the river. 100 yards away.
Right.
Bases that were getting attacked, and we were shooting at these guys that were attacking his base, from our base, across the river, and it was just this crazy small world. Wait a minute,
he was in Shark Base, so us grunts, we didn't go over there. That was that was for the operators.
I can't wait to hear the Navy SEAL side of the story, because I've heard all about Ramadi from Andrew.
He does.
Yeah,
he'll tell it right. He'll tell the story straight.
The other perspective from the prima donnas.
Whoa, dude, seriously. Hey, he said that, Andrew, not me. He said that.
So
not me.
I say that because we had a former grunt on a while ago, Jablonski, and he called SEALs prima donnas. So
he did say that, and he's a 1371. He's a common engineer or whatever, and I don't know. And he was a recruiter for 7 years after
talking shit.
One deployment, and then he was a recruiter. I'm like, Pogue.
Well, you know what? Some of us can be prima donnas, so
yeah.
Perhaps it was well.
I think he's just jealous because, from what I understand, although I was in the Navy, I didn't know anything about the SEALs when I was in the Navy. So, but from what I understand is whatever the SEALs want or need, the SEALs get.
Oh yeah, that's right. We just get whatever we want. Oh yeah.
Okay, that's a SEAL sarcasm right there.
Look, everybody thinks the grass is greener, okay? And look, it's a pretty cool job, believe me. I wanted to do it my whole life. We definitely have a lot of cool gear. We get a lot of pretty cool support. But no, we don't get whatever we want. Not quite like that.
Rebreathers, 1911, 45s. Everything. Fins, goggles. God, I could use some of this stuff.
There was no shortage of fins, goggles, booties, masks. That's kind of the bread and butter of the SEAL teams. So
yeah,
any kind of fin I could want, basically, yes, I could probably get that. Yeah.
Nice, sir.
So, before we get started, let's talk about high school. You're in high school. Did you know you wanted to join the military when you're how did you go from high school to being a Navy SEAL? What was the progression there?
Well, growing up, it was around me all the time. Aside from my own mother and father, everybody else in my family basically served in the military in one capacity or another. So, I just grew up with it. My grandfather, who, I kind of refer to as the patriarch of our family, he was a B-17 pilot in World War II. It's a classic story. He lied about his age to enlist. And in what at the time was called the Army Air Force. Right? This is before the Air Force existed as its own department. It was, and then there was the Air Force within the Army, and it later became its own branch. So he went into the Army Air Force. In fact, when he retired, I believe he retired from the Army Air Force, and his retirement was later reclassified as an Air Force retirement. But anyway, he lied about his age, became a B-17 pilot, and I've got this old news clipping that I found years ago in a box of stuff, and it's just this old article, talking about who he was, the son of, so and so and so and so, and it was highlighting how he had just turned 21 years old. He had just turned 21, and he had also just flown his 52nd combat bombing raid in the European theater. So in a very small amount of time, he became a pilot, was deployed overseas in World War II, and was flying these combat air missions. And I grew up hearing stories from him and other family members. I could hear him. He would be like, he always called me Andy. He's the only one that I remember calling me Andy. And so he would say, Andy, he goes, I tell you, sometimes I land that plane and I had no idea how it was still in the air. Like there was like Swiss cheese. He'd been shot up so many times. He said it was like a miracle it was still flying. And so I grew up with those kinds of stories. You know, Thanksgiving, Christmas. People would often assemble at our house, and my cousins, my uncles, my grandfather, like we'd be watching like old black and white war documentaries about all the different wars we've been involved in. And as a little kid, I grew up hearing those stories. And so I grew up certainly in a family and in a household that had this sense of service and of serving our country. And, you know, I kind of got it in my head at some point that maybe I'd like to do that. Now, what specifically, I didn't know. And then somewhere along the line, I often joke, you know, I probably saw the movie Navy SEALs, you know, with Charlie Sheen.
Yeah.
Awesome movie. Great
the most
movie.
realistic Navy SEAL movie ever.
Fantastic movie.
And, you know, I thought it was really cool. And then, you know, as I got into, I want to be a Navy SEAL. Why? I don't know. It's cool, right? And then as like in high school, though, is you really start to get, well, I mean, everybody ages a different way, but I started to get more serious. Okay, what do I really want to do with my life? It was okay. I definitely want to be in the military, and it isn't just something cool that I think is cool. It's like this is what I feel called to do now, and so somewhere in high school, it really shifted from, hey, I want to serve. Yeah, oh, I think it's cool. I want to be a SEAL too. I feel called to serve in this capacity, and then I just everything I could possibly read about the SEAL teams, and there wasn't a lot of information out there today. There's so much information out there. So much is available. If you're a young man today that wants to be a Navy SEAL, I mean, if you can't figure it out, then you probably shouldn't be there, because it's just like it's all there. Like back in my day, it was a hurdle enough just to figure out that Rubik's Cube of even how do you get into the SEAL teams. And so I began doing as much research as I could. I remember one day, so I had a really close family friend who worked at what's called the Portsmouth Naval Shipyard in Portsmouth, New Hampshire, which is where I grew up. And he called me one day. It was in the summertime, and he worked at the docks there. And he says, "Hey, we've got a SEAL team coming in." He goes, "Come on, I'll get you on the base, and I'll walk you down there and introduce them." And so I did. He introduced me, and I met this guy who was the OIC of a platoon. He gave me tours of the boats and everything. It was really neat. And then as I was going through college, that guy helped me out and got me some interviews and helped me understand how to put a package together. And then ultimately I went into an ROTC program in college. So I got
Vanderbilt, right? You went to Vanderbilt, correct?
That's right. I went to Vanderbilt. Yep.
Oh, you're smart.
Go
too.
Commodores.
So I got commissioned, and I was lucky enough to pick up one of the few slots that they give out to officer candidates who are coming out of the ROTC program. And then I went to BUDS in Coronado, California. And I mean, it was like this Rubik's Cube just to even get a chance to go to BUDS to see if you could make it, to see if you could even get into a SEAL team. So, yeah.
I'd like to spend some time for a minute here on BUDS. So you were were you already commissioned when you went?
Yeah, so it's an interesting concept. I mean, I get commissioned right out of college, day one, active duty Navy. I'm an officer, and I go right to BUDS. And so officers and enlisted go through BUDS SEAL training together.
Yes,
I was going to ask. Through all the same things. And so, yeah, I showed up to BUDS as an ensign. That's the 01. That's the lowest ranking officer that there is.
Butterbar.
Butterbars.
Butterbar.
Did you get any special treatment because you were an officer, or they just treat everybody equally like shit?
Equally like shit. But they do give the officers a little bit of extra attention. At least I remember it that way, and rightfully so. I mean, if these are going to be, the so-called leadership of the SEAL teams, and granted, there's officer leadership, there's enlisted leadership, but if you're going to be an officer and lead a platoon, you better not just sort of blend in and make it. Like, you better be able to stand out and above. And they want to, and think about the guys who are the instructors putting people through SEAL training. These are guys who are SEALs, obviously. They've usually done several deployments, and now they're back to doing a shore tour as an instructor, putting guys through the program. And from their perspective, as they're looking at all these candidates who are going through BUDS, SEAL training, they're like, hey, every single one of these people who we allow through this program, I could be in a platoon with that guy. And one of the questions that you're going to ask yourself as an instructor is would I serve with that guy? Does that guy have what it takes to have my 6? To do the hard things when the going gets tough? And now when it comes to an officer, is that the kind of guy that I'm willing to follow? Does that person have the leadership skills and qualities that I'd follow that guy?
Yeah. So
and if you don't, right? So if they can grind you into the sand, if they can get you to quit, and if you can, if you're showing weakness and not standing up and looking out for your guys in your boat crew as you're going through BUD/S, why would that guy want to let you make it through training and then potentially be in charge of him later on in a platoon one day? I say in charge very loosely, by the way, but you know what I'm saying.
So if you're doing well in BUD/S, but they don't think you're going to cut it or you're the right person, will they still kick you out for that?
Yeah, there are multiple ways that someone is tested to say whether they have what it takes. It's not just the ultimate tough mudder and, if you make it through, you're in. I mean, there are other ways. There are other performance evaluations that are beyond physical. That include, mental and, aptitude, emotional aptitude, your ability to get along with the other people in your class. And so they were starting to do this when I was going through, but now as I understand it, woven right into the selection process is peer reviews. And those peer reviews are waived. I mean, if everybody in your class is saying, this guy's not carrying his weight, he's not a team player, that's not a good sign. Right? You should be able to build relationships as you're going through this hard training with the guys that you're going through it with. And if you're not building relationships with those folks, think you're going to build relationships with the guys in your platoon or in your command down the road? Probably not. So there are multiple ways that they can evaluate the totality of the candidate. And so it's not just not quitting. I mean, that's a huge piece of it. Most people don't make it because they quit, but it's not just not quitting. If you don't do something, or if you do something that, they evaluate to be below performance, you can be removed from the program.
How long is BUD/S from beginning?
That was my question too.
Oh,
it's about 6 months, roughly.
Holy shit!
Broken into 3 phases. So first phase, second phase, and third phase. First phase, that's more of the selection. I mean, the whole 6 months is selection for sure. BUD/S is not a program compared to other programs. It's not so much a program where they're teaching you how to be a SEAL. They're not necessarily teaching you advanced combat skills, like you're not learning how to shoot, move, and communicate. You're not learning how to maneuver, how to close with and destroy the enemy. You're not really learning unit level tactics. You get some brief exposures. It really is about selection. The first phase of BUD/S is the most focused on selection. Second phase moves on to some skills, and that's what we call dive phase. And you start to learn how to dive both open circuit and closed circuit. Andrew mentioned earlier the Draeger rebreathers.
The rebreathers, yes, sir.
That's what's referred to as closed circuit. And that's a combat diving capability that gets refined much further in the advanced SEAL training, and then, of course, in a SEAL platoon, where you learn to apply those into actual, like, real-world tactical situations that the SEAL team would use. In BUD/S, you're just getting the basic, like, you literally, when you go through BUD/S in second phase, you get like a PADI open water, certificate. You get a basic scuba diving certificate.
I have SSI.
Phase. And then you learn the details of the more advanced diving stuff. And then third phase is now getting into some land warfare tactics, navigation, some basic maneuvers. But the whole thing is really a selection for about 6 months. And if you make it through that, then you move on to the advanced training, which is called SEAL qualification training.
So what phases where you always see like they're on the beach carrying logs and boats on their heads? What phase?
That's first phase. That's the first phase of BUD/S.
Yeah. Damn.
When you get your
Trident.
Yes, thank you. Trident.
You're welcome. I'm not even Navy, and I know that. Come on.
Yeah, I knew what it was. Just give me a second. I had a brain fade.
I'm just kidding.
That is, and I, keep in mind, it's been 20 years since I went through that program, and they've changed things around a little bit in that time. It's for the most part the same, but you get that once you make it through the SEAL qualification training. That's okay. I think I'd heard over the years that maybe they had moved that around a little bit, but it was that you when I went through, we got it when we made it through SQT.
How many guys were in your class, and then how many guys ended?
Yeah, good question.
So my buds class started with right around 200, what we would call originals, and then but what happens is as you go through training, like you might make it through first phase and get really hurt going through Hell Week or have some injury, and so they may roll you. The term is roll you back to the next class. So if you make it through first phase, but you make it through like really injured, they'll take you out of that class. And then you'll wait for the next class to come up and you'll jump in with them. So when we made it through first phase, we were down to like 18 guys or 20 guys or something like that.
Oh.
And then I think we got like another like 10 guys rolled in from the class ahead of us that had been injured at some point in their training. And then they joined our class that was coming up behind them. And so by the time we graduated, we had 32 graduates. Not all of those 32 started on what we call day one, week one of my original buds class. Yeah.
Wow.
So I feel like to be in a SEAL team, you have to be like either athletic or a thrill chaser. Like, were you doing this kind of stuff before?
I mean, yes and no. I would just tell you that in a platoon and in a SEAL team, there's all kinds of personalities. There are guys who are really got the thrill seeking bug. I mean, you certainly can't be opposed to jumping out of a plane or sliding down a rope or
I don't know what I'm getting at, man.
Yeah. But there's definitely levels of thrill seeker, and some guys get into base jumping. That to me, the juice isn't worth the squeeze there. To me, no interest in base jumping personally. So no, I would not classify, because look, here's the thing. From the outside looking in, there's probably a lot of people in the public who look at what we do and say, man, that's crazy. That's crazy. And I get that, but also a lot of what we do is very calculated.
Right.
Like is there risk? Yes. But it's calculated risk.
Yeah.
Right. It's measured. And there are so many safeguards around what we do. We know what's safe to jump, what altitude is safe to jump from, what altitude is not safe to jump from, what kind of weather conditions it's safe to dive in, and how long you can be under the water, and all of those things. Now, even with all the risk mitigation practices that we put in place, you'll never eliminate all risk. And of course, jumping out of a plane, sliding down a rope out of a helicopter at night on night vision goggles and things like that is certainly a lot riskier than going into a cubicle in an office for work, right?
Yeah.
So yes, it is inherently risky, but it is calculated risk. And I would tell you that in 99, not all, but in 99% of all cases, everything that of what we do is executed safely. In cases where guys have been injured or killed, many times there is something outside the risk envelope that was done.
Yeah.
So if you follow the protocols and the procedures, 999 times out of 1,000, you will be just fine.
So what I'm most interested in, I mean, I have like a million questions.
I know you do. And you're not even letting me get in one, but it's okay. It's your show, dude. And I've got a lot of questions for Andrew too, but you know what? You're the host.
Well,
take it on, Fleek.
You can tell me to F off.
No, I'm not going to, dude, you're my friend. I'm not going to tell you to F off.
So
anyway, I'm wearing an Episcopalian shirt. I can't swear today.
Oh,
sorry.
Okay.
I mean, that much. I can't say the F-bomb, not with this shirt on. By the way, this is a great, look at this name, Paul. That's, man, I don't know why I wore this. Gotcha.
The swimming part. So you guys, when you're in buds, you have to go in a pool and then they jump down there and they beat the shit out of you. What the hell's that all about?
And they cut your regulator, that Pensacola.
Flip you upside down.
Do they do that?
Oh yes, they drown you and they bring you back to life too. So,
hey, I've seen it. I've seen it on Lone Survivor. I saw it. It's got to be true.
Look. So again, diving at night in hospital, everything that we do. Well, let me back up. A lot of what we do in the SEAL teams is in the water, and water is an unforgiving environment.
Yeah, I'd be terrified.
Well, I would want to get you over that, because being terrified does not put you into a good frame of mind to make clear, good decisions,
Correct.
right?
Yes.
So through practice, through training, through repetition, you can execute the job that you need to do without being terrified. Now, it is by nature a hostile environment. We are not meant to be in the water. We're just not. And I think anybody who spends, the more time you spend in the water, the more you realize that we are a guest there. We're a guest.
Yep.
And as a fish is out of water, we are in the water, you know?
Right. Yeah.
And so much of what we do is in and around the water, which raises the level of risk and complexity and the consequences of mistakes immensely. So there's lots of Army, Marine units that will climb and get in, now imagine we do that type of thing out at sea at night on the side of a ship. Something goes wrong there, you fall off the side of the ship wearing a couple 100 pounds of gear, you're going to sink really fast.
Right.
So, so there's a lot of extra factors at play. So what you're talking about is putting guys in a training environment that can be controlled as much as possible to keep it as safe as possible for training purposes, to put people into situations where you can start to elicit panic, to train your body to not panic, to allow your heart rate and your respiration rate and everything to stay calm, so that you can face the obstacle, overcome that challenge without sort of freaking out and losing control. And so what you see, again, you probably see this type of thing on the Discovery Channel and things like that, is you're in a pool. So again, it's a controllable, not completely, but mostly controllable environment. And, maybe you have a blindfold on, you're tied up, maybe you've got a regulator on, and they come down and they rip the regulator out of the mouth, they'll tie it in a knot, they'll undo your strap, and then they're like, go. Okay, so first of all, what's number one? You need air, right? Like, I don't need that mask right now. What I need is air. Where's that hose? Is there a knot in it? Is it off? Do I turn it back on? Okay, once I got that regulator in my mouth and I can breathe, okay, I can take my time now, right? I can take my time. All right, where's that strap out? I'll take all day getting that strap untwisted and rehooked back up again. But imagine if you are doing a mission in the ocean, coming up over the beach or doing a dive and there's heavy surf or waves are crashing and there's rocks and things like that. You get tossed and turned around, you can get disoriented really easily, right? So you've got to be familiar with your gear, and you've got to be able to keep your wits about you to stay focused on the critical pieces so that you don't die, So that's what you're seeing there. And they don't drown you. I mean, these are these rumors that spread. Let me tell you something,
What is that?
I don't know. I think we just lost him.
Oh man, that was weird. Yeah, he'll come back. I'm sorry, man.
Okay.
But no, it brings back a lot of. I had a dive incident at Pennyroyal in Kentucky, and I gave this guy, I had 900 psi, and he only saw the 500. He didn't see the 4, and so he comes over, and my dive master, he grabs my reg out of my mouth, which in PADI and SSI, whatever, you're not supposed to do that. But obviously in the SEALs is a little bit different. But like you guys, the Navy, you guys created diving. I mean, the dive tables, that was created by you guys.
Yeah, not by me or the SEAL team.
No, not by you, but by the Navy.
Yeah, right. So in the military, there's different branches of service that are kind of the authority for all of the Department of Defense. So the Navy oversees basically all the regulations for diving. Obviously, the Marine Corps, the Air Force, the Army, all dive, right? They all have needs and purposes for diving. Yep. Some of them are very similar to the SEAL teams as well. But the Navy is in charge of, promulgating doctrine and procedure for the diving world, just like the Army is in charge of air operations, basically.
Yep. Well, actually, I did have some questions.
Now you're going to get a chance, Andrew, to
I know. I got to ask them quick because what is your how was Vanderbilt? I mean, we're going to go back to college. How was your how was your time at Vanderbilt? I mean, that's a big question I've been wanting to ask you for a long time. And how do you like Nashville? I mean, coming from New Hampshire, same as me. I mean, I was born in Nashville, but I was raised in New Hampshire. You were born in New Hampshire, and then you came down here after boarding school to Vanderbilt. How was it?
Well, I looked at a few colleges, but I knew I wanted to be in the Navy ROTC program, so that kind of helped whittle it down. And then I went and looked at Vanderbilt and a few others, and I had family that live in a suburb of Nashville called Franklin, Tennessee. Well, you probably know exactly where that is.
Yeah, that's about 35 minutes away. Wait,
Yeah.
they live in Franklin? Oh, hey,
Yeah.
hey, he's
Yeah.
back. See,
Oh,
I
they're
got
back.
I get one question in. Damn.
You know what's really ironic here, Andrew, is
Yeah.
that your name is Richard.
Yeah, it is Richard
Yeah,
Andrew, and
Andrew.
he's Richard. I don't know his middle. Fleek? What's your middle name? I can't hear you.
Can't hear you. You're either muted or.
Yeah. Well, take your time, sir.
Vanderbilt, Andrew, to tell you was, I mean, I fell in love with Nashville. Nashville's beautiful, a cool town, beautiful campus, and had family nearby, and so I had an engineering program, beautiful location, family. And I loved it. I mean, I kind of had the best of both worlds. I got to have a college life experience as well as, the Navy paid for me to go to school. So I had an ROTC
Go to school
scholarship.
to live in Nashville. Now, where'd you live where'd you live? Downtown?
No, I mean, I lived on campus in various dorms.
Okay.
And then my senior year, I lived off campus in some apartment complex. I can barely remember where it was.
Okay, good to go. No, hey, Nashville's changed. I mean, I know you were just here. What was it, last year?
Holy smokes, man! Nashville has grown
changed
up so much.
We are the fourth biggest city, fastest growing city in the world. That's from some, and then Murfreesboro, where I live, and Fleek and I live. It is the third fastest growing city in America.
It's annoying.
It's not, dude. It's not, dude. They're gonna build an amphitheater. They're gonna have, I mean, it's just so much stuff that we have. I mean, we have great churches. We have great eateries around here, great coffee places.
Yeah.
And Andrew, by the way, you and the family are always invited to our house. Always welcome.
We're getting a Buc-ee's.
And we're getting a Buc-ee's. Do they have Buc-ee's in California?
I don't know what that is.
Okay, it's like Walmart and it's like a Walmart gas station.
Yeah,
it's awesome.
Gigantic.
It's huge.
You can get brisket at a gas station.
You can get brisket.
Cool.
I don't know what they have in San Diego.
Walmart.
They got Walmart. Okay, good to go.
Oh, you're still in California?
Yes.
You gonna stay out there?
Yeah, as far as I know. I mean, my kids are here, business here. And I love it. I mean, I love the weather. I mean, I came here originally because this is where Buds was. I got commissioned, went in the Navy.
Yeah.
When I left active duty, I just started doing business here, and just here I am now. I love it here. The weather's amazing. It's raining a bit now, but we really need it. But I love it here, and it's expensive. It's expensive, and that makes things a little tough at times. But I got the water right here, not too far to go up skiing or snowboarding in the mountains. You go out to the desert. There's great running and hiking trails. I love it here.
So how far are you from Little Italy?
That's right downtown. I mean, 30 minutes.
They have a Little Italy in San Diego?
Yeah.
It looks pretty
I had
sick.
no idea.
Yeah. Well, I love cooking. So that's one of my hobbies is cooking. And one of the guys I follow on YouTube, Sam, the cooking guy, he has multiple restaurants in Little Italy. And that's on my short list to do, to go to San Diego.
Oh, yeah. It's great. You'd love it.
The only thing in San Diego I know is PCB, Pacific Beach, right? PB?
Oh, there's PB, Pacific Beach.
Yeah.
I haven't been there in years. That's a great spot when you're young.
Oh, dude, my parents took me. Matt was rowing at Mission Bay. He was at University of Seattle or University of Washington, and he had a rowing competition. And I remember eating at the terrific Pacific on Pacific Beach, and I had lobster taco for the first time. It was amazing.
Sounds
And
good to me.
In-N-Out Burger and Rubio's fish tacos.
Yeah, Rubio's is a favorite for me. You know, In-N-Out.
I love Rubio's.
Yeah, that's all good food.
Hey, Fleek, you got any more questions, or can I ask
I want to go back to swimming for 1 second.
Okay, go back to swimming.
So I hear you guys have to like do night dives, but you have to swim under hulls of ships.
Yep.
So are these ships moving, or are they sitting there anchored? Or?
Oh no, this is training for what a combat swimmer would do in in a world war type situation, or you want to go in and disable your enemy's fleet, right? And you can do that. You don't have to have a whole ship come in and blow the ship to smithereens. You can do that by just disabling it, and with a very small, precise charge. So that's one of the missions of the SEAL teams, is what we call combat swimmer operations.
What do you do if there's a shark down there? Is that ever an issue?
I mean,
shark?
I honestly don't think about it, man. I mean, it's dark. You can't see it. I will say that. So when we're doing combat swimmer operations, what that looks like is you basically have a compass in front of your face. So it's obviously you can't you can't see. You don't know where you are, right?
Yeah,
so we don't just kind of keep this simple. Imagine that I put you in a big basketball court, and I told you to close your eyes. And I said, and you had to leave through this door that's way on the other side. I would say, hey, take 30 steps, and then once you're done taking 30 steps, I want you to turn to your left and take 20 steps, and then I want you to turn to your right and take 5 steps. And that's essentially what you're doing underwater.
That's exactly the navigation that they teach you for rescue diver or anything like that. It's you do 30 flutter kicks, take a left. 30 flutter kicks, take a left. For 30 flutter kicks, you should be back to the same spot that you started. Should be.
Yep. It just depends if there's a current and things like that, and if you're making those corners right. So underwater, that's how we're navigating. We have a compass. We're following a certain course that we've pre-mapped out to get to our destination, taking into account current and things like that. And so you're staring at this compass, just in kicking, right? Going for time, kick count, things like that. And and you can't see anything. It's pitch black down there. But every now and then, okay, the water has, and this is true throughout the world, depending on what's in the water. If something agitates the water, it will actually glow a little bit. And so every now and then,
I've seen it.
You'll see some glow streak go by you. Now, I'm pretty certain most of the time it's like a seal or a sea lion or something like that.
Yeah.
But you can't see anything, man. So, this is one of those things that if you you just got to tune that thing out. I mean, if Jaws is going to come by and take a bite out of you, it's just your time to go.
It's time to go.
Yeah.
That's
You're
right.
not going to do anything about it. You're not going to pull out your knife and fight this thing in the pitch black and somehow dude, I never thought about it. I never saw anything. I don't even. And I dive and free dive, and I go diving for lobsters at night here in San Diego, and they're out there, man. And the great whites now are big time off of Del Mar, where I usually go. And whatever, dude. You just
whatever.
You're a free diver now?
Oh yeah, I've been a free diver forever.
That's all, dude. That's something I want to get into. But I got to work on my breathing, because that you got to hold your breath for minutes, right? For 2-3 minutes. The whole time, yeah.
So, when I was in the Navy, I was on an aircraft carrier, the USS Carl Vinson, and we were stationed in Alameda, but we'd go to San Diego quite a bit. I remember one time we were anchored about 5 miles off of San Diego, and the SEALs were supposed to swim from San Diego to our ship, get on the ship, and try to capture the captain or skipper. Yeah. When they do that, do they actually swim all the way, or do they have little boats that take them out 5 miles? Or
it depends, but we do some that are quite long. Yeah. I mean, there are some distances that I would say after a certain amount, it's probably worth it to have some sort of an insertion platform, but I mean, we do we do 6, 10, 12-mile ocean swims. So,
That's insane.
Damn.
yeah.
That's
Man,
a long
I
time. Then you have the current pushing you back and all the other stuff going on.
Yeah.
Man, I just did 12 laps in the pool today, and I was tired. I mean, 10 to 12 miles.
When you're in your
Damn.
20s and you're in the SEAL teams, it's your job to be in the best possible shape possible. Right?
And I saw a picture. I mean, I think it was you, but I saw pictures, and you're still. I mean, you haven't changed. Your body hasn't changed since high school, man.
Well, I don't know about that, man. My wife would tell you differently.
Dude, seriously, I remember you in high school, with Mr. Roca and working out. I mean, you pretty much look exactly the same you did, from 97 or 96. I mean,
Well, that's not just, well, I appreciate that, Andrew, but
you're welcome.
I assure you, I have aged and have felt the aging process like everybody else. But I will say that, look, I mean, I used to eat anything I wanted, and I distinctly remember, like, it was like basically 30 years old, like on the dot. It was like my shifter went from 5th gear to 4th gear, and I was like, whoa, I can't eat like that. And then 35, it was like, whoop, boop, another little downshift, and then 40, boom, another downshift, and it's like. And I have seen this. It's like every time I adjust my eating habits to adapt to my slowing metabolism, boom, my metabolism finds another notch. And so it hasn't been easy. And I tell you, after leaving the SEAL teams, you leave an environment where you are like, it's your job to work out every day. Your job is to train and prepare to be able to execute these types of missions and operations. And all of a sudden you're out and you're by yourself. You're not around your bros who have this culture of working out all the time. And some guys continue to work out. Some guys do not. And I struggle with this for a while.
Me,
I'm in pretty
I gained a lot of weight after the Marine Corps.
Dude, and many guys do. It takes real conscious effort. So I'm in decent shape right now, Andrew, but it hasn't been, it's hard work to stay consistent and eat healthy along the way. But
well, you look good. What are you doing now? I mean, after you've had a great career in the Navy. What are you doing now? I mean, I know. We want to tell our viewers what you are doing now to help people and being a veteran advocate and doing all that.
Well, when I left active duty, I went right into the mortgage business because, that's a natural transition, right? Like jumping out of planes, blowing things up. And then I just went and did 30-year fixed mortgages. So since I left active duty, I've just been doing VA loans for my fellow veterans, and I'm licensed in 42 states. It started very organically. I just started doing loans for guys in my last platoon, and then I did loans for guys in other platoons, and then, they referred me. And then as guys moved around the country, guy got orders to Virginia Beach, I got licensed in Virginia. Guy got orders, to Washington, I got licensed there. So I didn't just kind of go out and get licensed in all these states. It's just been very, very organic. And then about almost 4 years ago now, two of the guys I served with, you may know of Jocko Willink and Leif Babin. These are two guys I served with in the Battle of Ramadi and Task Unit Bruiser. They wrote an amazing book called Extreme Ownership, which is a New York Times bestseller. And I joined the team there 4 years ago. So I'm also on the team at Echelon Front as a leadership instructor.
Nice.
And we share some of the leadership lessons and the stories and what we learned serving in the SEAL teams, and how those leadership lessons helped us win in a very challenging battlefield environment, and now how those leadership lessons apply in the business world. So we work with companies to help them grow their teams and their organizations and solve their problems through leadership. So that's what I'm doing today. VA mortgages and
are you licensed in Tennessee?
What's that?
Are you licensed in Tennessee?
Of course.
Yes, he is.
All right. It's good to know because most of my friends are veterans. And so when they're looking for houses, I know where to show them.
Well, I'll tell you what, I appreciate that. I mean, my whole business really has been built working by referral, and it's just been doing a great job for one client and asking them to refer me to people that they know. It's very organic. And so I would love a referral. I mean, I won't lie. I mean, the business has slowed down a bit right now.
Yeah.
The interest rates going up, and there's definitely some changes in the markets. So it's slow, and I am never too busy for your referrals. I'd love to help a veteran wherever they may be.
Are you certified for South Carolina?
Yes.
Nice. I will be calling you in 6 years because that's
Alright.
where we're moving to.
Perfect.
God, hey, I got to go to a state that is 100% property tax. I don't have to pay it. Virginia, South Carolina, and Georgia is trying to change, right?
Texas, I'm pretty sure will wipe out your taxes if you're 100%.
Okay. Because
So,
we want to live in Savannah. Like Katrina and I, we love Savannah. We love it more than life itself. I mean, there's nothing wrong with Tennessee. I've been here for a while, and I'm getting, I want to go back to Savannah.
all right. Just get the itch to move, huh?
Well, we've got to be here for our parents. My mom lives an hour away. Her parents, her dad was Air Force 38 years. He's 72 and he's not doing so hot. And we got to be here for them. And we're just thinking, long term, where do we want to retire? And I'm actually saving money and I'm adulting, which is crazy. I'm actually saving money. I'm not overdrawn on my account today.
Great job, Andrew.
I know, right?
It's a big step.
I know. It's like, dude, seriously, every month I would be negative, and now I'm managing my money in a better way, and I'm very proud of myself. And I thank God. I thank people like Andrew, like you, past Commander Fleek, for my inspiration because I love you guys. You guys, I mean, Andrew, I've known you for, oh my God.
I know.
I mean, when did you get to Brooks? 93?
3, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, I've known you since 1993, and you grew up in Portsmouth, correct? Or Hampton Beach?
Northampton.
Northampton, yeah. That's right. And oh my gosh, and where did you go to? Did they have junior high school in Hampton Beach?
I went to a little school up in Maine for
Which one?
For Berwick Academy.
Oh, you went to oh. I did not know you went to Berwick. We used to play hockey against them.
Yeah, that's where I learned to play hockey. And I didn't start playing hockey until like I think 5th or 6th grade. And man, I was way behind the curve.
Yeah.
I started playing like I think it was 5th grade, maybe a 6th. Man, I was late to the game, man, and so late. I mean, y'all don't understand. Like hockey in New England is like
huge.
It's a way of life, and like most people who play hockey, like they start playing when they're like 2. I mean 3. Like they got.
I started at 4.
I believe it, and so I mean when I went to Brooks with you, Andrew, we. I finally made the varsity hockey team my junior year, and and I barely played, but I scored a goal against Rivers. Never forget
Rivers.
Yeah, I know, but they were good that year. And somebody got hurt, and I ran out on the starting line with Kevin Dwyer.
Kevin, number 44.
And
that guy was good.
I'll never forget. So one goal I scored on varsity in high school, and you don't understand, like to score a goal. Like in varsity hockey in New England, like
big time.
It's big, dude. Like, I mean, I was so behind to have started in 5th or 6th grade. I can't even tell you.
Yeah, but you know what? But you still made the varsity. I mean,
I did finally make it, yeah.
I made it my junior year. Like I didn't make it freshman, sophomore year. I was on the JV team with like Mike Tobin and
didn't you, Andrew?
Me and Matt were the Farr brothers. We spent more time in the penalty box than we did on the ice, and it's true.
Yeah.
But yeah, Mike Wainio and Kevin Dwyer, dude, he's a doctor right now.
He's like really?
He's a physician.
Wow. Cool.
I'll hopefully get to see him next fall because the new boathouse.
Oh yeah.
They're starting to break ground, and ribbon cutting is I think in September, and then I'm gonna go in the spring, and hopefully you can come with, and we can see this new boathouse. I've been talking with the coach, Tote. He coached at Yale, good guy, and I got to see my brother's boat because there's a boat named after my brother, and they lost to Belmont Hill and BB&N, but still, it was a M-Pocker. It looked great. Wait, did you play lacrosse? What did you play in the spring?
Baseball.
Baseball with Ryan. Yes, Ryan Jarvis, Ashley Kissel,
Yeah.
all those guys. That's right. And this is my dog, Baron. Say hi to Andrew. Give me a kiss. There you go. Say hi to past Commander Fleek. He's almost hungry, so it's time for him to eat in a little bit. So can you get off me, please? Please. Get off me. Get off. Thanks. Sorry. He's a love bug. But no, I had some other questions for you.
Have you ever done a Halo?
Ooh,
Absolutely. Yeah. You have to.
of course he has. Oh,
You have to do
yeah,
that?
I bet he has.
So how do you train for stuff like that?
That's a good question.
I mean, it's incremental. I mean, you don't, and I'm no sky god by any means, but you start off with very basic jumps. I mean, you start off with two guys jumping out of the plane, like holding on to you to help you learn and feel what it feels like to get stable in the air. And then you start adding equipment, and that adds a layer of dynamics, and then you start throwing in that higher altitude where you got to be jumping on oxygen, and so it's incremental. We're not going to just go right to that, but
What's the highest? Do you know what the highest you were when you jumped?
I don't know. I'd have to look at my logbook. I don't know.
Wow. Okay. So
You guys have to
you
jump a
can
lot?
ask him how high he jumped, but you can't tell me how fast your ship is. That's not fair, dude. How deep a dive have you ever done?
I think I did a bounce dive to maybe 160 or something like that.
Holy shit!
Yeah. It's one of the requirements. You're kind of just checking a box. You go down a ladder, down a line, come over and back up again.
Damn.
You go that deep, you can spend only a minute or two there. Then you come.
Yeah, and then they come up and you got to do your safety stop. I did 102, but 160. Oh my god, the pressure must have been huge.
There's nothing to see.
Oh yeah, at 102 there was. I mean, it's green.
Yeah.
And dark. And
most of the life is 60 feet and above, right? So.
Yeah. Andrew, what is your best recollection of boarding school for those people that want to send their kids to?
Yeah. And what is boarding school?
High school where you live at the school all the time.
You live there? So you move out of your house and you just live there?
Yeah.
I did.
That's got to be pretty tough for a youngster, right?
I was kind of pretty excited to get out of the house, to be honest.
Oh,
so was I.
Yeah.
So was I.
Look, everyone's different. I was ready to spread my wings and get out, and I loved it.
What was your favorite memory from Brooks, by the way? If you have one.
I mean, I have a few really good ones, but I would say my fondest kind of favorite, more of a generalized memory is I started training jiu-jitsu I started training just regular karate. It was Kempo.
With
my
Roca,
freshman
right?
year with Larry Roca and Bob Moore and otherwise. So you're on campus all the time. And these were two teachers who were going to this karate school off campus. And so I would go with them as just and they let me ride with them. So it's a little way to get off campus, by the way. But it was great. I learned karate. And then you understand, jiu-jitsu wasn't a thing in the 90s. And then the very first ever UFC 1.0, one happened, right? And Hoist Gracie wins it, right?
I remember
and the first year was this big competition between who's going to be the better, is it karate, is it Kempo, is it Tai Chi, is it, what discipline is going to be the dominant discipline, right? Come on, it's so much more complicated than that. But year after year after year, it started to show that most fights end up on the ground, and so jiu-jitsu, gained such popularity. It's so widespread now. But Larry Roca and Coach Roca and I started training jiu-jitsu in 1995 or 6, and oddly, and so then I had some chances to go to some seminars with Hoist Gracie, and and Coach Rocco would go to these seminars, and he would take me with him. And so every morning, or almost every morning before school starts, and school starts early at boarding school. Like you have to check in at like 7 a.m. at the breakfast.
You got to have breakfast. Yeah, you got to check in at breakfast.
You're already in like a suit and tie, jacket and tie, by the way. And so before breakfast, before school, I would go over to the gym and I would train karate, jiu-jitsu, and Coach Rocco became one of the ambassadors for Grandmaster Remy Prisas in what's called modern arnis. It's like the stick fighting, right? So we would practice for an hour at 4:30 or 5 in the morning before school. Those are some of my fondest memories.
And I remember watching you guys practice. Sorry to cut you off, Leek. I remember coming from a football practice, and you had just finished. You guys had just finished your training, and I made a leap or a surge towards Coach Rocco, and he was holding Shane as a baby. And now Shane is like, I mean, he's like 27 right now. He's an adult right now.
And he, I believe, went into the Army, by the way.
And I didn't know that. Wow. Well, he's holding Shane, and I'm lurching forward in my football gear, which I sucked as a football player. I only did it for it. And Coach Rocco just does this. I mean, this simple sidekick, and dude, he puts me down in a second. I'm like, ugh. Like my diaphragm is crushed. I'm like,
Andrew, you are not a small guy. Running in full pads towards a man like that holding his child is probably not a smart move.
No, it was not. I thought he, I was trying to be playful, and it was not, because he dropped me like a bad habit. Oh my God. Wow.
So did your jiu-jitsu, did that ever come into play while you were a SEAL, while you were deployed?
Not so much in a real, not too much in a real world, like combat scenario. Other than that, just when I got into the SEAL teams, jiu-jitsu had grown, and all of a sudden Jocko Willink, who was my task unit commander in task unit Bruiser, he's a black belt in jiu-jitsu, and he's very good. And so all of a sudden, here we are in this task unit, in this platoon, training for workups and whatever. And then whenever we would go training someplace, we would pack the mats, and we would lay the mats out, and all the junior officers would have to throw down and wrestle with Jocko and each other.
Blow in the ring.
And I had a little bit of training, which gave me a little advantage, given my smaller size compared to some of the other guys. But that jiu-jitsu helped give me a little edge.
Yeah.
How many deployments were you on, if you want to talk about that?
Yeah, I just did 2 full deployments, and then a smaller little excursion.
Is there any stories that you could tell us about Ramadi that you're comfortable with telling non-SEALs?
Well, I think when we think about stories, I think there's got to be a reason. I mean, there's no, I don't see much purpose in just sort of telling stories for glory or anything like that. There's got to be a lesson or a purpose. Mm-hmm. Something that was interesting to me in Ramadi is, so we would go into these houses, and we would, either be looking for bad guys, looking for weapons, explosives, and other times we would stay in these houses and set up overwatch positions. And so over the course of a day or 2 days, or in some cases 3 days, we would have the occasion to interact with the families of these houses that we had taken over, and we would compensate them in some way. Inevitably, stuff would get broken and destroyed, and so we'd give them some money and things like that. And I was always very interested in having conversations with the families and just learning about them and their perspective on things. And a perspective that I got that I don't know that this type of thing always makes it to the news or whatever, right? But context is important. So out in Ramadi it's an area in Al Anbar province, way out to the west. And this is where the majority of the people in Saddam Hussein's Ba'ath Party lived. This was a wealthy area, comparatively. And so the leaders of the Ba'ath Party, whether they be generals or influential people, a lot of them lived out there. And so, I remember one day talking to this woman who said, because I believed in what we were doing. I mean, I wasn't there to just like pillage and destroy, or none of us were, right? We
Right.
were, those of us on the ground believed we were there getting rid of, taking out the trash, right? Getting rid of the bad guys, right? And trying to make life better for an oppressed people or whatever the case, right? And this woman said something to me, and it really stuck with me because she goes, I don't know, things were better before you got here. And I was like, what do you mean? She goes, well, before my kids could go to school, I could send them down the street to go to the grocery store and bring back, some oranges or whatever. She goes, now look, how are things better because you're here? And I was like, okay, well, so it's interesting. Like when you all of a sudden see it from her perspective, and from her perspective, she's from under Saddam Hussein, she's in the party of affluence. The everything over there is there is definitely hierarchy within the society. So you have the Ba'ath Party, which is Saddam Hussein's political party, and then out there to the west was mostly Sunnis, whereas down south and closer to the northern Arabian Gulf is the Shia. These are sects within, the Muslim faith. Shia are typically descended more from Iran and that religious influence, and Sunni are more from Saudi Arabia. Mm-hmm. And so we often can confuse religious, we see things politically, we see political boundaries, mm-hmm. Iran, Iraq, Saudi Arabia, whatever. Those are political boundaries. These people don't always see political boundaries like we see them. They don't. Those state lines were drawn by the Ottoman Empire, right, and the Brits many, many years ago. Whereas these people are more tribal, more religiously oriented, and so the Shia just typically tend from. And then there's these overlaps that cross right over boundaries, and they're like, show me where that line is. Like they can literally say like, hey, well, show me where that line is in the sand. I don't see a line. And you're like, it's the map. It's like right here. They're like, yeah, I don't see a line, right?
Yeah.
So anyway, in the first Gulf War, when we called, we like sort of called upon the people of Iraq to stand up, stand up against Saddam Hussein. We are with you. And then we withdrew. Okay, this is Gulf War I. And what happened was the Shia to the south, who were oppressed under Saddam Hussein, they did rise up. And then when we withdrew, Saddam Hussein came in and just like annihilated them.
Yep. Right. Yeah. So
we're out there working in Ramadi, which is predominantly Sunni and predominantly Ba'ath Party. So that woman that I just described, she was in the party of affluence under Saddam Hussein and had everything to lose by Saddam Hussein being pushed out of power. On the other end of the spectrum, the Shia who lived down in Basra and in the area of the Northern Arabian Gulf, they've been oppressed by Saddam Hussein for years, and they had everything to gain by our presence there, mm-hmm. right? They were behind what we were doing, whereas more generally the Sunnis were not. This is very generality there. And so one of the things that we did that was very smart was that out in Ramadi, where we were working, the Iraqi army that we were working alongside were brought in from the south. They were Shia from the south brought in to do the Iraqi army work out there. And then vice versa. Because if we had brought in Sunni Iraqi army, that would have been like, hey, dude, no, I'm not doing that. Those are my brothers right there. Those are my cousins. I'm not going to like kick that door in or turn that guy in, right? So, as we're working alongside these guys, I'm having another conversation one day through an interpreter with one of the Iraqi army scouts that we were working alongside. And I was kind of curious. It's like, what's the mindset of these guys that like, I'm going into buildings, we're patrolling down the street. Are these guys, this guy going to shoot me in the back? Like, does he hate Americans? Like, who is this guy? Like, why is he doing this? Is he doing this for the $10 a day? Or does he believe in this? Like, what is this? Right? And dude, I'll tell you, man, this guy told me a story about the first Gulf War when we told the Iraqi people to rise up against Saddam Hussein. And then we left. And he had left his family to rise up. And when he came back to the south, to Basra, where his family was, by the time he got there, Saddam Hussein had literally taken bulldozers and bulldozed the villages, and he dug his wife out of the rubble, holding his baby.
Oh my God.
That was like, that guy's in this fight. That guy's in this fight. He is fighting for liberty as he sees it, right?
Right. Yeah.
So, those are some interesting experiences for me that I had over there that, I don't, that stuff gets lost a lot of times. I think, you see these documentaries, you hear of the heroism, which is incredible, but some of those sort of human condition things don't always come through. And I really enjoyed talking to the Iraqi people when I had the chance. We didn't always have the chance. I mean, sometimes it was just heavy fighting. A lot of these guys are bad. They would kill you if you looked the other way. And, but when I had an opportunity to talk to, I thought, this may be the only chance or the only time that this Iraqi man, woman, child, whatever, interacts with an American. This is my chance to show them maybe that we're good and that we care. And after this, their only experience may be the tank they see rolling down the street and whatever stories are told by their elders or the people who don't want us there. So there's an aspect of my experience that I enjoyed. I enjoyed talking to the families when I could, when it was safe, when it made sense. And, believe me, there were times I went in and you could just feel the difference. Like, what we would call a military-aged male was looking at you. And it was like, that guy wants to kill me. Like, I can tell, and it was interesting. So
Andrew, I just want to thank you. And this comes from me and the rest of 3-8. Thank you. I don't know if you guys were there, but when we took over that Ramadi hospital, I don't know if you guys were watching our back, but
we were.
We really appreciate it because that was a tough day that day.
That was a big operation.
That was a huge op. Man, I almost got killed. No, by my own guy, because he was walking behind me and he had an ND. Like while we're walking down the hallway of the hospital, I'm like, Solo. I mean, his name was Brandon Solo, and he accidentally fired his gun and it just goes all over the place. And I'm like,
yeah,
man, we just took over this hospital and I almost get killed by you. But Brandon is still a good friend of mine, and he's a huge bodybuilder. He looks like the damn Hulk. Brandon, if you're out there, I love you, man, but just keep your finger straight off the trigger till you tend to fire.
You really appreciate you calling him out all these years later.
Just like you were taught at boot camp, second month, okay? Easy. Just kidding, Brandon. Love you, dude.
Just kidding. So
hey,
you say you talked to a lot of people there. Well, what's the language barrier? Were you talking to them through an interpreter? Or?
Yeah, we were fortunate to have some really capable interpreters embedded with us that were in some of these guys. So what happened was if they were really good, we were able to hold on to them, and they would get sort of handed off to the next SEAL unit that would come in. And some of these interpreters, I mean, there's like a whole untold story there. I mean, some of these guys, I mean, they've got more combat experience than any of us, really. Yeah. And they speak the language and at a level where it's like you and I could like learn a language if we spend enough time on it. Like I could go 2 years and I could be like, okay, I could get by with some Arabic, right? And I can get over there and I could be talking to them and I'd be like, okay, he says the girl went, up the bathroom, like I'd be like a little bit off, right? And these guys, not just can they speak it fluently, they could be like, it'd be like this, like you live in Tennessee, right? You'd be like, the guy's like, and the guy'd be like, yeah, man. So I'm down here from, I'm from Boston. Yeah, that's right. I'm here from last night. And you'd be like, that dude's not from Boston. right? And that's what these interpreters could do. They could be like, hey, he says he's from here. That's not his dialect. That's not his accent, right? And they could sniff stuff out. So we had incredible interpreters who were capable of that, and they were also capable in a gunfight. And we were very fortunate to have them. They were a huge difference maker on the battlefield.
Did they give you like, I don't know, they gave me like 2 or 3 weeks of Arabic training. Did they do that for you? Okay.
I mean, useless, dude. Don't even bother.
No, I learned how to count to 10 in Arabic. I thought that was kind of cool.
Yeah.
Or stop or I'll shoot. I mean, that was a good one to have.
Right.
Yeah. Well, good. Hey, we're at a minute 12. An hour 12, man. Fleek, do you want to close this out, or
I think I'm
ask
going.
more questions for him?
Yeah, we try to stick around an hour or so. So unless you have any questions,
Andrew, are you okay? Do you probably got a 26-mile run to do today?
I just wrapped up a ultra marathon on Saturday, so I'm in a little bit of recovery week this week. But
okay, yeah, you run like I just got back into running. I don't know how you do it, man. He's got that. He's got that.
No.
He's got that SEAL mentality.
That's an excuse. I hear those excuses all the time. I'm a SEAL because I just do the disciplines and I build and build and build. I'm not a good runner because I'm a SEAL, and it's just, I don't feel like getting up and going for a run all the time. I get out of shape. I get off the path. You just got to get back on. And, the journey of 1,000 miles begins with the first step. And so, you're not going to get out of bed and start running a marathon, but you can run a half a mile. You can run a half a mile. You can walk a mile.
Now you bring up a good point with that, because it kind of leads into the segue of, for the people that are listening and watching our podcast and they're having a tough time. They've got things going on in their life that that are hard. What is your advice to them to get them out of this funk? They're in a stuck place, get them out. How do they do that?
Great question.
Thank you.
We're talking about it, the three of us, before we came on here, the show, right? And the number of veteran suicides.
Yes.
We've lost a few guys in our community recently. And we just lost someone recently who, it's like, from the outside looking in, everything, like, this guy's super successful. It's an amazing guy. It's like, what? Like, it leaves so many questions. It doesn't make sense. And it's got a lot of us every time, not just, we all go, what's going on? Every now and then there's something you go, well, okay. I mean, I'm not saying that that's okay, but I'm saying, like, you go, okay, like, I could see where this guy got to this place, but so many times it's like, it wasn't that bad. And this is what I would say. I think that in the social media world that we live in today, all we see is the highlight reel of everybody else. Mm-hmm. And we start to think that, like, this is why earlier, you're talking about, oh, you're running, you do all this. And I'm like, no. I go, because listen, I thanks. I appreciate it. You're kind of, stroking my ego a little bit, but Andrew, the reality is that my life is messy. I get in arguments with my wife. I have financial pressure. I have doubts. I'm not, I don't wake up feeling like doing what I should do every day. And some of those days I overcome those feelings. And some days I get to the end of the day and I'm like, man, I didn't do jack shit today. And I feel like a piece of crap and I'm not worthy of this title. And right. So real life is messy. Yep. But social media has taken this thing to a level where all we see is basically the perfect highlight reel after reel after reel after reel. And you see this person's on vacation in Hawaii and this person's going, parasailing in Cabo. And this person just hiked this mountain. And by the time you get done seeing this, all you see is everybody's amazing and you don't do shit. And then you step on the scale and you're overweight. And this person just lost this many pounds. And dude, you got to turn that shit off. When we are in the middle of our down moments, and we all have them. And I would tell you, I think anybody who says that they don't have them, that they don't have doubts or they don't have down moments is lying or they are on drugs. And that's not a joke. I mean, nobody is up all the time.
Nope.
Right.
And so give yourself some grace, man. Like we all fuck it up.
Yeah.
But there is nothing that you can do that is beyond forgiveness. There's nothing. And I can just tell you, speaking autobiographically, God loves you. Your brothers love you. And if you're thinking about making a permanent decision to a temporary situation, which is what suicide is, you're going to leave a huge hole.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I think people go to a spot and they think, well, nobody will miss me. And it's not true, man, because every
Definitely
time
not.
we lose somebody, we are all sitting around going, oh my God, like, God, I wish I had known, or what. And that is what everybody else is going to do too. You just got to reach out, man. And you're not weak. You're not weak for having those thoughts. You're not weak for having those feelings. You're human for having those feelings. That's a human emotion. It's a human feeling.
Right.
In fact, PTSD, as they so call it, it's not a disorder. It's not a disorder. That's why there's a big movement to remove the D. It's PTS, post-traumatic stress. Why? Because it's not a disorder. It's not a disorder. In fact, the way you feel from losing your friends, from seeing somebody you cared about killed, to seeing another human killed, even if it was the enemy, which can be traumatic to see just a dead body,
Correct.
whatever it may be, or even hearing about it.
Yep.
Having that traumatic response, that's not a disorder. That's actually a normal response to an abnormal situation. And there's nothing wrong with you for having those thoughts or feeling sad and upset. Real men are able to be in touch with how they feel and to be honest and transparent the way I'm trying to be with you right now. There is always a way through. There is always one more step you can take.
God bless you, man. That was
I'm glad you mentioned that, because we had a guest a month or so ago, and he had talked about killing enemy combatant on the side of the road, and he was like right there. He took a man's life, and I asked him, like, how did that affect you? He's like, it didn't affect me anything. That guy was going to kill me. But that still has to play mind games with you, man. Like, you just took a human life. I'm not. That's what you're there for. I get it. Like, I'm not saying, like, I'm not trying to be all liberal on you or whatever. I'm just saying, to me, I'm going to kill that guy too, but it's going to affect me. That will ruin my life.
Well, listen, I don't want to go all the way to the other side too and say to that guy, what's wrong with you that it doesn't affect you? Because we are all wired so differently. I'll tell you what's really wild is that from my last platoon, call it 16 guys who were all basically in the exact same environment, right? We all more or less experienced the same stressful, traumatic experience.
Yeah.
Everybody's responses were different. Some guys were like, no big deal. Yeah. Some guys really struggled, and everything in between. And so there is no right or wrong response. We all have different chemistry, different wiring, different physiology.
Right. Yeah.
And there's no way to say, like, so I would say, like, for me personally, and this is just me, the combat and all of that, I would go back in a second. None of that affected me in a negative way. The negative effects that I have, the emotional PTS, if you will, is really from the loss of a couple of my friends.
Right.
And when I think about how heroically they died and the sacrifices that they made to save other guys in my platoon, it just stirs something up in me that's very emotional. Like you would be emotional about the loss of a parent or a sibling, right? That's something that a non-combatant could relate to, right? I mean,
right. Yep.
Would you not be sad if your brother was killed in a car accident or your sister was killed in a car accident? Of course you would.
Yes.
And so my brother, my SEAL brother, was killed by jumping on a grenade and saving the life of two guys in my platoon. He was awarded the Medal of Honor. And I mean, to this day, I cannot barely talk about it without becoming emotional.
Right.
So, we all have a slightly different response to very similar situation.
and that was a tough summer. We lost a lot of people. I get, and that was the thing that messed me up is, I mean, yeah, it was combat, whatever, but losing those guys, I lost like, I think 17 that summer. It was just, and I knew all of them, and I know where all they're buried. I know all where they're all buried. I need to go up to Arlington to actually visit them, but yeah, I mean, it was tough, and it messed me up for a long time, and I did a lot of work on myself. I had to, because I couldn't just, I was a zombie taking all kinds of meds, citalopram, trazodone, metrazapine. I mean, I didn't even want to get out of bed. I was in Savannah, and I never left. I never left the house. And then, I went out to go get, booze and drink a lot. And I did. And I did that, with a plum, I was awesome at drinking.
Yeah.
And then I had to get over it. And I had to accept it. And, I had to accept that I had a problem and that I had to ask for help. And I did. And Andrew, you said, don't be ashamed to ask for help.
Correct.
We are men, and we can ask for help. It's okay.
And that's what we're here for. Like we tell our listeners all the time, if you need help, you call myself or Andrew. My phone is always on. Like if I could talk somebody off the edge, man, like that's what I'm here for.
Yeah. Hey, Fleek, I just got a message. We gotta wrap this up for Mr. Paul over here.
Yeah.
Lieutenant Commander Paul.
It's that Lieutenant Commander. I just have something to say. I just want to tell you, thank you for your service.
Thank you, man.
Andrew, thank you for your service. Without men like you guys, like I have no idea where our country would be. So my hat, and I salute you too. I was just a dumbass fleet sailor, man. I didn't see none of this shit.
Hey, no, you were good, man.
Don't do that. Don't talk down your servicemen. Like
I joke around a lot, but I'm really proud of what I did. But like I didn't do anything like you guys did, and I appreciate.
We all have different skills, different abilities. We have it takes all of us for the entire machine to work the right way. It's in a lot of ways it's wrong that they make movies about Navy SEALs and there's all these other men and women who serve in ways that they aren't lifted up and praised and thanked.
Yeah.
So everybody's service matters.
Everybody is worth mentioning. Everybody is.
That's why I love this show, because I don't think there's too many shows out there that are talking to the normal everyday Joe. There's plenty of Navy SEAL shows and Ranger shows, but we're out there talking.
We talk to everybody. We don't care. I mean, we go from operator all the way to like the admin clerk. I mean, we don't care.
Yeah, we don't. Yeah, we'll talk to everybody, man. We love it.
But Andrew, we love you, man. And
yes,
like I said, we welcome you to Tennessee anytime. Obviously, I'll be up in New Hampshire in February. So, but you'll be in San Diego. So I'll take pictures. I'll send them to you. No problem.
Good to go.
Yeah. Great. So hopefully our nonprofit gets so big we can send you to like a Chargers game or something.
God, that'd be or a Padres game or something.
You can probably get those tickets on the cheap though.
Hey, Andrew, thank you so much, man.
Yes. Thank you, sir.
Appreciate it, guys.
Hey, hold on 1 second. I'm going to hit this